They see a speaker who has no shame and who is pushing forward bills that are going to hurt the American people, like the SAVE Act, which isn't going to save anyone. In fact, it would prevent a lot of women from being able to vote, and it would put our identity at risk if you now have to send in a copy of your ID with your mail-in ballot.
So there is a congresswoman from California, Democrat Sidney Kamlager-Dove, saying that women are not going to be able to vote as easily if the SAVE Act actually gets passed. Nobody would be saved by this, and women would be burdened. Does America need the SAVE Act? I think we heard Senator Schmidt yesterday on the show saying, yeah, it needs the Save America Act, but can we get it done? Let's speak with the chairman of the RNC, Joe Gruters, joins us now. Joe, thank you for the time today. It's great to have you on the show with us.
Yeah, thanks, Annie. Appreciate you having me on.
I am a woman, and I am worried about my vote being stolen away from me by the mean Republicans. Am I smart enough to vote in an election if the Save America Act passes?
Think of what a stupid thing to say that Congresswoman just said. I mean, she's as dumb as bricks. The fact that she would say that's insulting to all women, and it's disappointing. And she should be called out for it, because the Save America Act is widely supported by, I think, over 80% of Americans who basically just want a safe and secure election. The bottom line is, should people other than Americans have the right to vote in America? Should we allow our elections to be determined by people that don't have a legal right to be here or live here? And the answer to that is no.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that this is where the Democrats are planting their flag, trying to block this common sense legislation from moving forward.
I think, just on a side note here, that it would benefit leftist women who are unmarried or don't take their husband's names, but who am I to judge here? I am married, and I did take my husband's last name. Joe Gruters with us here, the chairman of the RNC. I am asking myself, what's the process here if the Save America Act passes? We talk on a surface level here how it would be more complicated because women change their names, birth certificates, voter ID, all of that. What is the process? Should the Save America Act pass? What would people have to do to be appropriately registered to vote?
Well, listen, they'd have to go down to their voter registration offices, which a lot of people already are. And if you haven't provided that information yet, you'd have to provide it. And it's not hard. It's not easy. If you don't have something, it's very easy to go through the website or call your local congressman up to help. They could walk you through it. But it's simple stuff. Most people have IDs. Most people have proof that they were born here, like a birth certificate. And those that don't, it's not common sense. It's not hard to get it. And there's going to be lots of ways for people to help.
Yeah, I feel like maybe, I don't know if it's possible to, but through like when you file your taxes or something, to check a box that has all of your identification, your social security and everything that proves that you're a citizen, that maybe there are some implementations where there are multiple ways for people to get registered as citizens of this country with the voter ID that is going to match the name and everything. But it is possible, and you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do a little bit of work to protect the greatest country on the face of the planet, the United States of America? Do we have evidence that there are non-citizens voting in this country? Yes or no?
We do. There's actually 270,000 non-citizens that are registered right now, and that's one of the things that the president delivered in his his speech last week. And you know what's interesting? I've read this, and it said that Olive Garden is running some all-you-can-eat pasta special. I don't know if you saw this, but it requires you to have a ID, a picture ID. So if it's good enough for Olive Garden, it should be good enough for our voting. I mean, it's completely insane and backwards that these Democrats want to, like I said, block common sense, reasonable protections, because having a safe and secure election is fundamental to our democracy. But that's what they're trying. These guys are willing to do whatever it takes to hold on to control and power, and that's what it is. It's sad, and they should be called out.
Joe Gruters speaking with us. I know you're the chairman of the RNC, but this is not a red-blue issue. This is a bipartisan, wildly supported issue between Republicans and Democrats, white people, people of color, every demographic. The way you slice and dice it, people are like, yeah, you should be a citizen and show an ID to vote. It's just pretty simple. And you got to figure, if you were going to try to reach across the aisle, if you're a Democrat or Republican, you wanted to do the will of the people, that this would be an obvious area to do that.
Not if you're in charge and you're trying to hold on to power. And that's what this is all about. The Republican National Committee handles most of the election integrity on the conservative side. We have, I think, 150 or 60 lawsuits right now in 36 states. We're bringing the hammer everywhere we can because every single day the Democrats are trying to cheat some way, and we got to stop it. We are stopping it. We've had a lot of election integrity wins, but it never ends because these guys are slippery. Like I said, it's for them, the end justifies the means, and so they're literally willing to do whatever it takes. We have to fight back. We have to make sure that these elections where everybody can go and vote. I always say, look at what we do in Florida. We have a state of 23 million people. We have Republican and Democrat supervisor of elections, and we could deliver results within 90 minutes and everybody's happy, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has full faith and confidence in the system. Why can't other states get it too? Because it's not meant to deliver the results and the will of the people. These guys, like I said, are trying to cheat. They're trying to find ways to create openings, and it's disappointing. And we need to pass the Save America Act. That's why we have to come together as Republicans, unite behind our candidates who are winning these nominations, and we got to deliver the majorities to the president so he could pass the Save America Act, and that these other great pieces are being held up by these liberal Ds, and these holdout Republicans are about to leave.
Joe Gruters speaking with us, chairman of the RNC. I mean, the truth is that if it goes through the reconciliation process, you don't even need all of the Republicans to vote in favor of it. So you don't even need to ask the Democrats to support it. But it seems as though in the Senate, the Republicans are, some of them, enough of them maybe, are dragging their feet on making this a reality. Yesterday on this show, our Missouri senator here, Eric Schmidt, said, let's do the talking filibuster. Let's go. Let's make people work for it. If only Republicans are needed to get this passed, why hasn't that happened?
Yeah, listen, it's a failure on the leadership in the Senate. They need to do a better job. If this is something that's prioritized by the president and his administration, and it's my belief that the party and that the party members in the House and the Senate should move this forward. And it's a complete disappointment. I've worked with the vice president on this. I've talked to numerous senators to try to push these guys, and I know they're trying different ways. And yeah, your Senator Schmidt is an absolute superstar.
Yes.
He's a MAGA warrior, great guy. But yes, we are working. But I know this, that we are going to replace some of these longstanding senators on our side. That Tillis, Cassidy, Cornyn, others. They're all leaving, and we're replacing them with these MAGA warriors that will take the president's agenda and make sure that it passes. So I'm fully confident that we'll be able to get it done. Either if not now with reconciliation, after November if we hold the majorities, and we just got to implement the plan that we've created, and that's largely being implemented right now. We're doing a great job. We have the candidates we want. The left is nominating these radical leftists who are these mini mamdamis all over, and so we're getting a lot of the favorable matchups. We have the most cash on hand in the history of the party ever against the DNC, who has minus 4 million. And then we have the best, showman that's ever existed in President Donald J. Trump. And if we use that midterm convention to then go barnstorm the country and hit all these competitive districts, I have no doubt we'll be able to not only hold the Senate, but hold the House and deliver the results the president needs so he can finish strong these last 2 years.
We're listening to the chairman of the RNC, Joe Gruters, speaking with us right now. I'm looking forward to that. I want to go. I'm going to try to figure out how to go because I think that midterm conference is going to be a really exciting thing to see, to watch what President Trump wants to do with the last 2 years of his administration. But also hanging in the balance is control of Congress. It's a very big deal in order to make sure that the Make America Great Again, America First policy focus can actually be carried out. I'm looking at a Fox News poll that was, I think, released today. It polled June 12th through the 15th. So just a few weeks ago. Trump, it says the margin of people who approve versus disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy is negative 37%, disapprove at 68%. Definitely the conflict in Iran is having an effect on this, but I do believe that Americans want to see more movement on an economy that is working for the people. What is your response to this? What do you want people to understand, voters to understand going into these midterms about what President Trump is doing and what a Republican Congress is doing for the taxpayer, the voter, and what the alternative in what this version of the Democrats is going to do if should they get the power?
Well, people have the short memory because if you go back to the Biden years, we had the highest inflation, highest gas prices ever. It
Yes.
was one thing after the next. And this president, when he got in, his main focus has been on the working man, the average American out there, and he has empathy. He wants things to get better, and he's working around the clock. That's why he has $19 trillion worth of investments coming in, which you won't feel overnight. But when you're, deporting all of our jobs of middle America, at some point, we're going to hit the wall, and that the president saw that. He's been fighting for it. He passed a working tax family cuts, and which creates a situation where you have no tax on tips and overtime and limited tax on Social Security, and on and on. I mean, this guy has been going to bat for the average American every single day. That's his main focus. He is, this conflict has created a temporary setback, but I think that the price that the country is paying, there's a reason why in 47 years nobody's touched it. This president understands that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. They can't continue to bully us or terrorize their neighbors, and they had to be stopped. And I think it's the president's doing his best to get out of it. And I think once we get out of it, I think things will head back to normal. But I'm grateful that the president is willing to use some political capital to do what's in the best interest of America, because that's what the D.C. elitists have failed to do for 5 decades. Both Republicans and Democrats have sold the American worker down the river. This president cares about the average American, and he wants everybody to have the chance at living the American dream. But we have to continue to push for his policies, because on the flip side, the government is not the answer. Government controlled anything is a disaster, and we certainly don't want to give up our system where you could start with nothing and end up living the dream. I appreciate what the president's doing, and as well as the conservative leadership in the House and the Senate.
Joe Gruters, chairman of the RNC, with us right now. And one last topic to cover with you, because it's been a big news story today. This administration's constant pursuit of fraud, when the reins of government have been in the hands of leftists and maybe some people on the right side of the aisle who got soaked up in the bureaucracy of things. There is so much fraud that is out there, with the Americans' hard-earned tax dollar gets sucked into the government system and then handed out without even any check or balance on it whatsoever. Every time we turn around, we're finding hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of the American taxpayers' effort just being sent off to maybe even foreigners, people who aren't even here anymore. Talk to me about the importance of seeing the fraud exposure effort all the way through for this administration and the future of this country.
Yeah, well, it started with Doge, and now it's on the fraud. And yes, I'm glad the president is bringing the hammer. He put J.D. Vance, our vice president, in charge of this, to bird dog it and to really go out there and find it. And what's crazy is the amount and the level that it exists, and the fact that you're exactly right. We've allowed it to exist. No checks and balances, no basic common sense reason. I'm a CPA and an auditor by trade, and the fact that some of these things they go unchecked, and you get tens or not hundreds of billions of dollars being wasted, flushed down the toilet, why everybody else tries to struggle and live paycheck to paycheck. It's not fair. I'm glad they're tackling it, and I know from talking with the vice president that there's a lot more that they're about to expose, and so be prepared to see it, and everybody should be upset about it.
Well, we are rooting for every single one of those dollars to be clawed back and exposed. And when you have the former vice presidential candidate in Governor Tim Walz being either too stupid or too malicious to actually call out what's going on in his own state, and we can go on and on about Gavin Newsom in California, Minnesota, California being at the epicenter of the news today. These people have willfully overlooked it. It's a sin of commission, not omission. And this administration and this cabinet seems to be very, very into working it out and showing the American people what has been happening. We need to not go back for sure. Joe Gruters, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. We'd love to have you back again too soon, so we can continue to harp on the SAVE Act, get it passed. The American people, certainly here in the Midwest, want to see that happen.
Thank you, Annie. Have a great one.
Take
Appreciate
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Joe Gruters, the chairman of the RNC, online or on X at Chairman Gruters, Gruters. Go give him a follow there to keep up with what's going on at the RNC.